princess? The answer is yes.
Yeah!
Alright! Oh, I wish I'd known sooner! I would have been practicing to be a princess. But all I've been doing is playing video games. If only there were a video game to train me to be a princess. Wait a minute! Princess Debut.
Princess Debut is a game released by Natsume in 2008. You may know Natsume from their highly popular game series, Pocky and Rocky. It's a game aimed at preteens girl that is part rhythm minigames like Elite Beat Agents and part dating sim, but in the lightest of forms. There's about as much depth to the dating as there is in any Harvest Moon game. So, although I've decided to use this video game to teach me the ins and outs of being a princess, I'm also going to play through and tell you the story that happened to Princess Chet. So it all started one day after school and I was talking to my best friend Catherine. I mentioned that life is straight up boring, but she talks about the boys in our school, giving a brief character description of it. I'd expound on the information a little more here, but it's ultimately misleading, so I'll spare you for now. Eventually we part ways and I head home and I'd get ready for bed, or at least I would, but then I had this option.
Transform. Okay, there's no way I can't choose that option. Let's see what happens.
Transform! What am I doing? I can't transform.
Then why the heck was that an option?
So, naturally my character goes to change, but
Oh, no! Ah!
a thing and a girl pop out of the wardrobe. To make a long story short, the girl is me from another dimension. Name and all. Well, everything except her eye color. Oh, and she's also royalty. She explains how dancing is a pretty big deal in her kingdom where she's from. I mean, she lives in Walt's Castle, for Pete's sake. And she explains how the biggest dance of her young life is in 30 days, and she doesn't really want to practice on account of she has 2 left feet, and wants me to take her place for a month, where I will eventually dance the ball for her. And let me point out, this is stupid, because they are giving her 30 days to practice so she can do it herself. But hey, I'll do it, because this will be an excellent opportunity to get a crash course in being a princess. Also, it's mandatory to the game. I mean, let's be honest here, what 23-year-old cisgender male wouldn't want to be a princess? So I hop into the swirling vortex in my wardrobe because, as one of my favorite YouTubers, Jordan Underneath, has said,
wardrobes always lead to magical worlds of wonder and oddity.
and thus I begin my journey to the other world. And Kip, by the way, this little thing is named Kip, gives me a rundown of the world. Things are mostly the same, but we do have talking animals, and I guess my character must be some sort of animal racist because she is not too down with that. But, much like Isis, it is what it is. So my servants come in and question my attire and make me change out of my Japanese schoolgirl uniform into something more suited for a dinner party with the king by putting on my tiara, which has a Wonder Woman-style transformation into a beautiful ball gown. And I head to the dining hall where I meet the boys of this world, and they show a few of their traits. So, here's a quick rundown. We've got the class clown and prankster Vince, the hopelessville romantic and flirt Caesar, Lucario, whose defining trait is that he gets lost a lot, Claus, who in my world is the football quarterback and is extremely handsome, and although we don't meet him here, there's also Liam, who knows the names of all the flowers and loves his family. So after the introduction, Claus and his girlfriend have a dance. And goodness gracious, the graphics! You know how PS1 FMV is downright bad? Well, the DS is weaker than the PS1, so this is what we get. So the night is danced away, and my life in the Flower Kingdom begins. Since the big payoff of this game is to dance with the man of my dreams at the St. Leon Ball, I must practice dancing. So I head on over to the practice hall where I will be taught by Tony Rabbit! And then Princess Chet displays her legendary and classy animal racism.
What? It's a rabbit!
Chet, seriously, who cares about a species? Would you really want anyone besides the greatest dancer in the Flower Kingdom to teach you? So I accept that he's the best and we get down to the basics. Think Elite Beat Agents, but only the sliding parts. Now I'll get to talk about the music that you get to dance to. It's a bunch of computer MIDI versions of highly popular music that is no longer protected under US copyright law. Like When the Saints Go Marching In and Carmen. And although it is low quality music, I do actually like the music in this game. Every time you dance, you are treated to horrifying DSFMV. But the good news is that you never get to look at it, because you've got to pay full attention to the bottom screen, especially on the more difficult songs, and they do get pretty hard. I mean, it wouldn't be nearly as bad if you knew what dance moves you were gonna do next, but you can't. I mean, technically they do tell you your next 3 dance moves, but the only problem is that it's on the top screen, and you cannot pay attention in order to dance properly. I don't see why they couldn't put the upcoming dance moves on the bottom screen. I mean, look, I was able to do it, and that's using video editing. That's not even game design, and the game is at least 20% more playable now. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time complaining about the dancing because it was actually ridiculously easy. It wasn't until about 3/4 into the game until getting a perfect couldn't be done in my sleep anymore. So that goes on for a few days. I wake up, go to practice, and on the 3rd day, a traveling market comes to town, and Kip takes me to buy me something. That's another neat thing about this game. In addition to the tiara, there are 20 costumes that you can unlock for dancing, and Kip lets you choose one of 3. I decided to go with the, silk ribbons, which are basically Chun-Li's costume. So, that's pretty cool. But, as I choose the silk ribbons, the Queen Harlot barges into the store and shouts,
Hey, I was gonna buy that one. I've been saving my allowance for 3 months.
Oh, hey, I'm sorry. I'll return it. I'll get the seashell necklace. After all, I love The Little Mermaid.
Like I don't want anything you've had your dirty hands all over.
Skank!
So I head back to my room and realize my tiara is missing, which sends my character into a panic. Where is it? Okay, so I head back to the market because I thought I may have dropped it, but all I found was Lucaria, who tells me that he saw Isabel making off with it. And so the hunt begins. Lucario sends me to the park where I find Claus, who does the most gentlemanly thing possible and volunteers to help me look. Now here's a true gentleman. So far today, I've met a boy who gives me crickets saying it was sunblock, another one who flirted with several girls, including me, and Lucario, who pretty much gave me the cold shoulder. But this guy spends the rest of his day helping me look for my heirloom. Eventually we give up, but later that day, Vince finds me, and he got back the crown. He never tells me how he got back the crown, but I'm grateful nonetheless. Well, another day goes by and Vince shows back up and tells me he'd like to be my dance partner. Now, here's where I made the biggest mistake of the game. Alrighty? I didn't realize this, but agreeing to be someone's dance partner is basically an engagement. After this, I am stuck to Vince like glue. And it's not a single dance either, like I've had with several of the other characters. Nope, I am stuck to Vince, who earlier today gave me a box of worms as a prank. But I haven't realized the severity of my mistake yet. It starts to sink in the next day when I come to dance practice, and instead of dancing with Tony Rabbit, it's Vince. So we start dancing, and partway through the song, his boy Michael comes in and asks him to go fishing. I tell him, no! Dancing is very important to me. I live in Walt's Castle, for goodness sake. Wait, I've already said that. Our garden is called the Tango Garden, for goodness sakes. Actually, every area in the game is named after a style of dance, and so Vince says, I don't care. Now here's where I get angry, because with an attitude like that, I want to drop him like a sack of potatoes, but the game gives me no way to do that. He's still my dance partner. So, out of spite, the next day, there's a dance competition, and I intentionally bomb the dance. In fact, after the competition, I can dance at the dance hall instead of the practice studio. So I do.
Maybe I'll try dancing by myself. Who do I want to dance with?
Princess, I think you're missing the whole point of dancing by yourself. By yourself, by the very nature of it, means alone, the lack of anyone else.
Turns out the game requires 2 to tango, so to speak, even if one is only imaginary, which I've got to say is very impressive when they dip me. All alone, pretending that he is behind me. On my own, I'm just playing next day, I show up to practice and pull off a flawless dance, and then something terrible happens. When I dance well, our love actually goes up. This is terrible. So from now on, I will go to every other area of the map first, because you can meet other boys and they'll take you on dates, and if you're really lucky, they'll ask you to dance. This way, I can still get dancing experience, but not increase my love meter with Vince. Well, time goes on and news breaks out that Claus and his girlfriend are broken up. I meet him and spend some time with him and realize he is excellent boyfriend material. Not to mention he spent that whole day tracking Isabel down with me. So I execute an excellent plan. I will always sabotage one dance per day with Vince to lower our love. And I'll choose every mean option with him until he leaves. After all, Claus and my love are at 100%. All I have to do is alienate this loser. So I see him in the market, and I was going to leave him, but I realized I could probably pick a mean option instead, right? So he offers to buy me a cookie, and I chose the turtle one. He failed to tell me that these were magic cookies that bestowed you with the traits of the animal you eat.
So I became extremely lethargic.
Which was too boring for him, so he left me at the market. So, after being cursed, left all alone and scared, naturally you'd think that the love would go down, right? Nope, it went up by 5%. Aw man, sabotage is gonna be a lot harder than I thought. So, the big horse race comes along, which is where boys get to show their stuff. Vince was actually priming to win the race until he fell off his horse, and I actually felt pretty bad for him, so I wasn't completely ice cold to him after the race, but my plan is still in motion. After all, it's the extremely attractive Claus who won the thing. Or at least it would be if he would show up to lessons. He skipped the next 2 days. Believe it or not, it is actually harder to ruin a relationship by actively avoiding responsibility than it is by spending time together. So I sent out looking for him, and once again he's fishing with his buddy Michael.
Vince, are you gay? Because you were giving up several opportunities to dance with a beautiful young lady, the princess nonetheless, to go fishing with a dude. I'm just saying.
So, seeing a perfectly justifiable reason to chew him out, I do. And I head back to dance with Tony. And I do this for 3 days, because pathetic little Vince won't show up to bomb our dances with. But after this time, my father actually needs me to dance at a special event. So before the event, I needed to hunt him down and drag him to it. And now while I would love to butcher a dance with Vince, I can't let my father down. So I dance perfectly. Or at least I would have, except halfway through the song, frickin' Vince cost me the dance. Turns out, a few days ago, he wrecked his leg, and that's why he's been skipping. But for not telling me, I decided to take the ice-cold approach and criticize him. So a few days go by, and the ball grows closer and closer, and it looks like the odds of me ditching Vince for the super sleek Claus is dwindling, until day 23, when Vince butchered a dance again, despite me dancing like a superstar. Although his leg is healed, he's afraid he'll get hurt again. Well, I'm afraid I'm gonna be stuck with him for the whole game, so I chose the meanest responses I could, and I guess calling him a baby was his trigger because I lost 20% of my love with him, and he called off being my dance partner.
We're heading out. All aircraft report.
It was really hard though. For the next 3 days, I did all I could to capture Claus's attention, but to no avail. But on day 26, there was another dance competition. It just so happened that the princess decided to check in and talk to me on that day. But something terrible also happened. While we were talking, Isabel caught us. We begged her to keep it a secret, but she just laughed and ran away. The princess told me to track her down and beg her not to tell anyone, so I went from area to area trying to find Isabel, but what I actually ended up doing was meeting each boy, and every one of them volunteered to enter the competition with me. Each and every one except Claus, that is. I held out hoping Claus would offer, but to no use. I held out long enough, and at the competition, I ended up having to dance with Tony Rabbit! But since it wasn't Vince, I decided to give it my all, and we won. But as we were going to win, Isabel shouted out from the crowd, "Fraud!" She attempted to expose me, but everybody knew she was a treacherous lying craven, so no one believed her. Ha! After Afterwards, I went and comforted her so she'd keep my secret, but when the king called her out in front of the entire kingdom, I laughed so hard. The next 3 days consisted of Liam cooking a dinner for me and asking to be my dance partner for the St. Leon Ball. No thanks, I want claws. Caesar taking me on a romantic nature picnic and asking to be my dance partner for the big St. Leon Ball. No thanks, I want claws. And Lucario taking me on an amazing Ferris wheel ride and asking to be my dance partner for the big St. Leon Ball. No thanks, I want claws. The only problem was, Claus never asked me to be my dance partner. It came the day of the St. Leon Ball, and I didn't have a partner. I had reached dance level 20 and gotten this special bunny hood, but with no one to dance to, I was stuck with Tony Rabbit! But the point of the game was to dance the St. Leon Ball. So I danced a dang good dance. It was a song I had never gotten a perfect on before, and I nailed it. I even wore the bunny hood, too. A little upset that I never got to dance with Claude. I mean, even the back of the box Chet got to dance with Claus, but sometimes that's just how it is. You wait too long for something you can't have, and get stuck dancing with your instructor. And oh my gosh, he was a total hottie. Turns out Tony was actually a prince from a faraway land who was turned into a rabbit, and the only way to break the spell was to dance with a princess at the St. Leon dance. And my stubborn refusal for anything but the best landed me with someone even better than the best. He actually invited me to his homeland and gave me a ring which turned me into a bride. And a few years later we got married, and he dances even better now that he's a human. Pretty impressive considering when he was a rabbit, he was, quote, the best dancer in the Flower Kingdom. And we lived happily ever after.
Alright, so I want to say a few things about this game first. First off, it goes anywhere between $30 and $50 on eBay. I am wondering how a game with such an odd game demographic of preteen girls can go for such a high price, especially when it's 7 years old for the DS. Not the 3DS, the DS! Also, I was expecting one of the stupidest games I have ever played, but it actually ended up being pretty fun. It functions well, and near the end, the dancing actually offers some pretty challenging rewards. It also reminded me why I love video games so much. It's an interactive medium. Where else can you be saddled with a starry-eyed young boy, eventually ditch him, get several offers from a bunch of other characters, hoping to get something even better, and then end up failing? And then, in the pits of despair, get something better than you could have even dreamed of up on your own. That's just it. There's nothing else like it. My playthrough was uniquely my own. I'd love to play it again, but it's not exactly sociably acceptable for me to play this if I'm not doing a review. If only I was in a position of power where I could decide what was socially acceptable or not. Wait a minute, I forgot. Disney Channel told me that I was a princess. Alright, transform!
Hey, Chet. Chet, that is... You look just absolutely...
The worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
Chet, why in the world are you wearing a dress?
Because I'm a princess.
And why do you think you're a princess?
Because the Disney Channel told me I was, and Disney never lies.
Right. Just go ask Pocahontas, huh?
Wait a second. I just realized I'm wearing a dress based off of a company whose mascot is a giant anthropomorphic 6-foot-tall rat. Oh, crap!
So that's Princess Debut. I already said my piece about it and embarrassed myself, so I think all that's left to do is beg for a subscription. And a like. And maybe even a comment if you're feeling really generous. Thank you so much for watching my shenanigans. Here's the end slate. Alright, since I've already begged for everything else, let's beg for some more views. But not on this one. It'd be really, really dumb. This is a long video. Click the reload button. Don't do that. But I would like to get a view, maybe on the top 5 gaming disappointments. Those are 5 video games that I've bought over the years, and, you know, I only had like 1 play session overall with them. Or perhaps you'd like to catch the top 5 announcers in video games. Over the years, several video games have been released, and announcers are a great flourish to them. Finish him! I think Mortal Kombat's on the list. I'm not sure. I made it. I didn't watch it. Also, I've got another review. This one's pretty old, so it's not as good. as this one. Well, okay, maybe it is. This one probably sucked as well. But, you know, it's called Yukinoko Burning. I do reviews on this channel. I do top 5 lists. That's, well, no, I usually do top 10 lists. It just so happens that my last 2 lists have been 5s because I couldn't think of much more for the lists. But I don't only have this channel, I also have a Let's Play channel. You've probably noticed, like, oh, what's that going to be? It's Pokemon. Pokemon's way more interesting than Pokemon, which is, you know, on the announcers. But whatever. I'm glad you watched. I'm glad you enjoyed it. If you did, I hope you did. Like, you made it this far in the video and you didn't enjoy it? Well, salute to you, man. All right. Probably have a blooper at the end here. Bye.
Dude, I'm just saying. That's all. I'm playing Pokemon, actually. I'm not playing Princess Debut. Are you kidding me?